So, continuing the previous topic of our directives, we came to the point after seeing the whatever the directives available by default, like ng repeat, ng show, ng include. So all these are Angular by default provided the directives, standard directives. These are called as standard directives, but it is not limited to that. We can create our custom directives also, and there are some different way of implementing the custom directive, and we will understand its usage and its pattern. Okay, so once you create your custom directive, the custom directive is nothing but a one more module, but you are going to define that as a directive. Okay, so how to take that advantage of custom directive in your HTML code is like uh, we can attach that directive in this way, like this is a division for the HTML markup. Therein we are going to provide ng controller as the keyword and attach your custom directive in this way. So this is one way of doing the one way of calling the custom directive after your directive is created. And secondly, we can create using the HTML5 compliant notation, that is data colon ng controller so and so custom directive. So this way also we can use our custom directives. Then we can use that as an attribute in the HTML markup. So how to use this as an attribute is like this. So input type is equal to text, and this is also one attribute, date picker, but it is not having any value. Okay, so but by default it is actually initialized, it is getting called from here. So this is being called in the format of attribute. So in this way also we can create, we can call our custom directive from your own HTML markup tags. Then one more thing is, like in the format of an element, we can see in the XML, the XML elements are looking like this. So after your custom directive is created with some particular name, so this is the name of the custom directive, and you can have the start tag as well as end tag, which is shown like in this example. So we can use that as in the format of an element also. And not only that, we can use as a class. Suppose if you are dealt with HTML, we are going to provide the CSS by using the classes only. Okay, so this class can also be taken for implementing your own custom directive, so that accordingly that particular module functionality, that particular custom directive functionality can be given to this markup element. So input type text, class is equal to whatever the custom directive name. And finally, we can provide in the format of a comment also, but these last two formats are for the older browser implementations. So we need not concern about these implementations. Basically, either you are writing in this way, or suppose sometimes you may be writing in this way, or at a couple of times you may be writing as a element way. Okay, but mostly when you see the programs, you are going to have your custom directives which are generally implemented in this ng controller by providing your custom directive name here in this fashion. Okay, so the custom directive is nothing but a one kind of function. So that function name you have to attach in this way for your markup language. So there are many ways that have given for including the custom directives in your web application. So these are some of the ways that can be done. And then we will see a small snippet how to create a custom directive. This directive is going to output some hello world. Okay, so how to write this? First of all, you are going to call this Angular. This is the app actually, and create with this module. So the module is the function in which you are going to provide the definition of whatever you are going to create. So here is the scope of the application, my app, and this is dependency injection. So we will come to this, what is this dependency injection, square brackets, then dot directive. That means we are going to attach this Angular scope with a custom directive, and that custom directive name is hello world. We can see the custom directive name is hello world, and this is a callback function in which it is going to supply the whatever the information that it needs to process. So function, it's a callback. It is going to return with some conditions like restrict EAC, replace true, something. So the template is actually going to be emitted whenever there is a call that has been made to this custom directive. So simply here, this custom directive hello world is nothing but giving header 3 content which is having hello world. So that is all about in this example. Okay, so the directive is being created, and how to attach this directive, you just call with the module. This is the fundamental method that we are going to see, and create with your Angular scope. This is the dependency injection dot. If you require the directive, you are going to put a directive. If you are going to create a filter, you can create a filter here. If you are taking a provider, accordingly you have to write the name of the functionality that you are going to write in your custom case. So the first argument to angular.module.directive is the name of the directive. Then the second argument is a directive definition that returns a object. So that means this particular callback, we can see this as a callback. So this callback is actually returning the response. So this returns actually an object. We can use this directive after creating in this way. Like we have seen with the previous examples, after creating that custom directive, either one of the format you can take for getting that functionality on the browser. Okay, so there are some examples that are given: hello world, and then hello colon world, then as an attribute division hello world. Okay, so there are different ways of doing the thing here, and this is how we can create our custom directives by using the AngularJS functionalities. Then they are divided into some different categories. The directives, some are the core directives. Core directives means we need to use them either in some way or in other way when you are creating your AngularJS applications. Like we have seen that ng app is a very crucial directive which is going to gives rise the Angular scope to that entire markup element. That can be body, that can be HTML, or that can be a simple paragraph also. So that scope limitation is up to the programmer. And similarly, ng bind is for binding the things. There are many default core directives that we can see: ng href, ng include, ng init, ng modal, ng transclude, ng view script, ng source, ng switch. So all these are coming under the core directives. Then when we are processing the information from the input forms of the HTML, then you can take the advantage of these form directives like form, input, input checkbox, input email, ng change, ng modal. Again, we can see some of the common functionalities which are generally applicable for doing the form submissions. So ng checked, whether terms and conditions should be checked or not, that can be checked from here, ng checked. And whether a particular button is disabled or enabled, that can be checked from here. An entire form scope can be given by using this ng form. So in that way, many supporting functionalities for the form submission is already available in the AngularJS directives, which are called as form directives. Then display directives, these are only for the purely purpose of the displaying the content onto the web browser. They can be the class even, class odd, ng clock, hide, pluralize, show, style. So some of these are actually able to display the directives based on the input conditions. Okay, so whether that particular like field or whatever the object is enabled or disabled, accordingly you can take the functionality like whether to show or to hide or to load or to buffer quickly. So all these can be taken, and which are available under the display directives. Then some are event directives. You might be knowing if you are doing the JavaScript, these are normally available like on change, on check, on click, on double click. So all these are available in the JavaScript. So same thing is taken into the AngularJS in the form of event directives. Here only change is they are actually appended with ng change, ng checked, ng key down, like ng mouse down, mouse up, ng selected, ng submit. So all these are actually based on events. Some of the actions that are performed by the user are going to be raised according to your functionality. Suppose once a button or once a mouse actually uh, is mouse is left from a particular markup element, then what should be done with that? Whether to show a different color, or whenever there is a double click on a button, so what should do with that? So all these conditions we can actually trap according to your functionality, and all these event triggering mechanisms are available under these event directives. So by default, the directives are also segregated into core directives, form directives, display directives, and event directives. And you might be using one or another while using your functionality, which are coming from this. But as we have seen, it is not limited to these. We can create our own custom directives also in this way, and you can have your own implementations. Like this is the example for simple implementation. It will simply return hello world, but it is not limited to that. You can do anything if you want to have a specific functionality and which can be reused across your all projects or across your all web pages. So that's why we create the custom directive, and you can simply reuse them by calling in this way, by calling as an attribute or a class or a ng controller. You just have to call in this way, and that entire functionality is getting loaded into your browser. Then coming to the topic of the modules, Angular modules are containers that enable you to compartmentalize and organize your code into concise, clean, reusable chunks. So what are the modules? Modules is nothing but a small set of implementations which you want to wrap for reusability, for cleaner implementation, and so well as to have a like a concise implementation of something. Okay, so the module are similar to a normal functions. Actually, they are nothing but containing some functionality, and they are actually wrapped into this term called as modules. Okay, so they can be reused across the web pages, across the web applications also. So modules themselves do not provide direct functionality, but they contain instances of other objects that do, such as controllers, filters, services, and animations. Okay, so what are modules? Modules as such do not provide any direct functionality when you are writing something to that. So module is nothing but a container. Okay, you are having some container that is basically called as a module. But whether that module is a controller, or that module is a filter, or that module is a service or animation or directive, okay, that the programmer has to decide. So that's why module is a clean way of containing something, and accordingly you can provide your own implementation, whether they can be controllers, filters, services, or directives, or animations, anything else. So in that way, they are going to be attaching these instances so that we can create our AngularJS functionalities in a rapid way. You build a module by defining the objects it provides. Then by linking together modules through dependency injection, you build a full application. Okay, so dependency injection means helper modules. So until that particular module is not attached to that current working module, the functionality may not be completed. So that's why they are called as dependency modules or dependency injection. We will see this term in future slides. So then by linking together modules, we build a full scale application, and that means everything is actually connected through this module only. So once you are starting with that AngularJS implementation, you are nothing but working with modules only. So AngularJS is built on the module principle. Most of the functionality provided by AngularJS is built into a module called as ng. It is by default available, okay, which contains most of the directives and services. When you call this ng, that means you are already having the standard directives, standard services coming into your page. Okay, and then we will understand why to use these modules. Most applications have a main method which instantiates, wires, and bootstraps the application. Like if you are doing the Java application, static void main is the bootstrap method. Similarly, there should be some entry point for your application, and Angular apps don't have a main method. Okay, if you are writing any JavaScript application, even in the main stack also, if you are creating any Express or Node.js, there is no initializing bootstrap method that is available in the form of main method. So there is as such no main method available like in the case of the other traditional languages. Okay, so they do not have this main method. Instead, modules declaratively specify how an application should be bootstrapped. Okay, so we can attach our modules and we can say declaratively to which module it should be loaded. There are several advantages to this approach. The process is more declarative, which is easier to understand. Suppose you are working in a very big project, and normally what happens, suppose if you are writing a Java or .NET application, first of all you have to put your object in the main method, then only that object is going to be instantiated. Then that first object is going to kicked up the second object maybe at a later time by clicking on a button or something else. So in that way many objects are going to be created as per the given functionality. But one thing we should understand, that everything should be started with the first object. That means even though if you are working with some 100 classes, it is generally we need to load up all the pre-created objects, then only we are coming to that nearly 50th or 70th object, so that that particular functionality can be tested. But here in this way of approach, we do not go in that way. We directly can load up the things which you are testing on a given module. So in unit testing, there is no need to load all the modules which may aid in the rating unit test. So that means even though your functionality is very big, there is no need to call the very first object or very first module, because there is no as such concept of the main method in this AngularJS application. Then additional modules can be loaded in scenario tests, which can override some of the configuration and help end-to-end test the application. Some additional modules can also be loaded through the dependency injections, and they can be tested as per the case from it actually requires. Third-party code can be packaged as a reusable module. So we can treat that everything is a module in the AngularJS. Okay, so everything is a module in the AngularJS, so they can be reused, they can be tested by loading dynamically, and it is very easy to load up the things and as well as test. So that's why this module way of doing the things is given in the AngularJS programming. The modules can be loaded in any parallel order and in any way, and that's why they do not have any kind of dependencies directly, so that one thing should be loaded, then only the second one will run. So in that way we can defer the loading patterns also when we are testing the things. So how to create a module? Like in the case of the example that we have seen, this is the module that we are going to attach to this Angular object. So create a new module where my app module angular.module, create with the name of the module, and here goes the dependency injection. Okay, so the array in above code is where the dependency injection comes, and that means this particular module, which is called as my app module, is basically dependent on this helper module. So the helper modules can be one or more. So this is an array. Okay, so we can have comma separated values, so that by all the dependencies will be properly loaded, then only this particular functionality can be properly achieved. So in that way we can create our module, and if it is not having any dependency, then you can simply leave this as a empty array. That means it do not have any direct dependency on the other modules. Then the idea of the AngularJS dependency injection is to define dynamically injected dependency object into the other object. So we will just understand in a different context, like to easily understand the things what is happening with this dependency injection. Suppose you are creating you are building one flat actually, and in that, suppose by default you are going to identify what is the dining room, what is the bedroom, what is the kitchen, or what is the hall. So all these are going to be by default created with by raising some kinds of walls. Okay, so the walls are going to define the separation, The walls are nothing but define the separation. This is a dining table, this is a dining room, then it's a living room, it's a bedroom, it's a balcony. So all these are uh, you are going to define here. But what happens is actually the empty walls do not create anything. Okay, if you are providing the dining chairs and a proper table, then only it will become a dining room. And similarly, if you are providing some sofa set, some fan, ceiling fan and TV, other things, then only it will become a hall. And if you are similarly providing a bed and other required things, then only it will become a bedroom. So that means the empty walls do not create a complete functionality unless otherwise you are not providing the proper furniture or proper objects into those empty containers. So in that way, we can understand the dependency injection. That means initially we can go ahead with the module creation like this way, but until unless you are not attaching the respective required objects um, like the dining table or the dining chairs. Okay, so even the gas stove and other kitchen appliances, then only it will become a kitchen. So in that way, the dependencies we are going to be loaded up. Until then, we cannot call that as a either kitchen or some dining hall. So in that way, we can understand the things while we are having this topic of dependency injection. So the dependency injection allows you to easily define any type of room you may want by stating which types of objects should be injected into the room when it is created. Suppose empty walls do not say anything, but if given four walls, you have provided a bed, that means it becomes a bedroom. And if that given four walls, if you have provided a dining table, then it becomes a dining hall. So in that way, based on the provided objects only, your functionality is going to be fulfilled. Your functionality is going to be fulfilled. So AngularJS provides dependency injection through the use of the providers and an injector service. So how this dependency injection is going to be provided is through an injector service. The providers define how to create an injectable objects with certain functionality. So things may be appearing somewhat complicated to you because all these providers services are actually part of the some advanced implementation. By default, we can simply use in a minimalistic way, even though we are not knowing these concepts of the providers or the services or any custom directives as such. But we can understand the things theoretically at least. The injector service creates an instance of the injectable objects and makes it available in newly created objects that use them. Okay, so the injector service creates instance of the injectable objects and makes it available in newly created objects that use them. So by default, they are going to be attached dynamically upon the loading of that corresponding module. So dependency injection can be implemented two ways. One is value based as a value component, and second one is through the services. Okay, so the services is nothing but a creation of a service, like we have seen with the creation of a directive or creation of a filter. Similarly, we are going to create a functionality which is called as a service. Then you can call that service directly, or otherwise we can otherwise we can provide that as a value component. Okay, so the value component means in this example we can see dependency injection from the value component. Here first of all we need to take this a minified version of the AngularJS. This is required. So this is the library where you are getting the entire scope of the AngularJS. Then you are going to provide your scope. So ng app defines the scope of your Angular application. So in that given scope, what we are doing is we are attaching one controller with this name. So that was created by you and somewhere, and that is being called here. Okay, so then what happens? It is actually here we can see that has been implemented here, and then what it is given with an expression called as ID. So here we can see that there is a sample app created with the name as sample app. So this is the name that we have given here. Okay, so in that way these two are connected. Then the dependency injection is not there, no modules are there, but we are going to attach one value for the dependency injection with this with this name, tutorial ID, something called as 5. Okay, but this is not actually exposed. We are creating one functionality with the name of the controller. You can see the name of the controller is AngularJS controller, which is shown here. And whenever this controller is there, it is giving back one scope object. Okay, so we can see here we are attaching one scope object with the name ID, and that ID is returning nothing but the tutorial ID. So whatever is the tutorial ID that is been set in the initialization, it was set as 5, but later on it can be changed to something else. Okay, so that is being automatically set into this scope.id, and exactly that scope.id is actually getting printed here. So in that way, we can have the dependency that is being given in the format of a value components, So things may look for the first time somewhat complex, but while doing the programming in this AngularJS, we will come to know easily where to call this controller and where to put that expressions and what is the purpose of this ng app. Okay, all these will come to know when we do the actual programming. Okay, but theoretically we can see that first of all we need to create a module. Okay, so this is a module that we have created with this name sample app, and this sample app is given with some value component for the dependency injection, and we can use that by connecting to this AngularJS controller, and accordingly whatever the value that was set can be retrieved into this expression. Then providers. A provider is essentially a definition of how to create an instance of an object with all the necessary functionality. Okay, so essentially a definition of how to create an instance of an object. Okay, so provider is nothing but a one kind of factory which you can see in other programming languages. So the providers should be defined as part of an AngularJS module, and a module registers the provider with the injector service. Only one instance of a provider's object is ever created in AngularJS application. So providers, sometimes in another programming like they are called as factories. They are nothing but the some kind of functionalities created for wrapping the things, and accordingly you can reuse them as per the created functionality. And how to use them? By using this kind of dependency, dependency injection. Okay, the providers implementation we will see here. First of all, this is the scope of this module, my module. Okay, the scope is given clearly here, and we are attaching the provider like we have done with the directive, or we have done with the filter or some service. The way to attach the things is like this. Okay, you can directly call after this, or you can take this variable to provide this provider functionality. So sometimes you are creating a module, sometimes you are creating a provider, sometimes you are creating a filter, sometimes directive. So the methodology is same. Module dot provider is going to create a provider. Then rest of the things are very common to understand. This is the name of the provider. This is a function that is going to invoke when this provider is called. So what it is doing, it is getting some value. Okay, so getting this value as my value. So whenever this particular my provider is called, my value is returned. Okay, so how to call this provider? You first of all attach with this controller. So my controller is the name of the controller. So you will take that controller into the HTML element. That can be any element, not only the division. That can be any element. And this division now capable to return with the, because it is calling this my provider, we can see. So whatever the functionality that is given in the my provider, it will be injected here. Okay, so that is going to printed as the value. So my value is getting printed here. So in that way, we can have the functionalities, either you create a module or you create a directive. The methodology is very common. Only thing that is differentiating is which method, which object you want to access, whether it is a provider or it is a directive or a filter. The injector service is responsible for keeping track of the instances of the provider objects. An injector service instance is created for each module that registers a provider, and when an object that requires a provider is created, a dependency request is made for an instance of the provider object. So all these are actually the behavior of how this particular provider is actually going to be kicked in the AngularJS memory. So the injector service will be there. It is going to be serving the request. Then the injector service first checks whether the instance already exists, because this is going to be created only for the first time. Okay, we have seen in this topic, like providers are only a single instance objects where multiple objects are not going to be created. So thereby this is first of all checks with whether any instance is already there with that name. If it is there, it will be cached. If it is not there, it is going to be created. Okay, so in that way, this particular functionality for the providers are going to be serviced in the AngularJS. Then defining an AngularJS module object. So creating AngularJS module is a simple process that involves calling the module method only. Okay, so like with the case of the example we have seen, everything is nothing but attached to this module. Okay, after this module, what you want to do, that you can create with your own functionalities. So similarly, we can see this module is actually the main implementer for the AngularJS. This method creates an instance of the module object with this name, and then we can provide the dependencies. Okay, so these are the dependencies. These are called as dependency libraries or packages or modules. Then optionally, as a third parameter, you can provide some configurations also, configuration settings. So in that way, the modules are actually attached with one another. So thereby loading one module is actually dependent or not is actually checked from here. And again, it is going to be checked whether any configuration settings or any functionalities which are required for the configuration are given by checking with this third parameter. So this is an example of creating an Angular module with the dependencies of the window, $window, and HTTP services. These are the services. Okay, so these are the dependency modules actually. So how to create this? Initialize with the angular.module. This is the name of the module, my module, and this is the dependency injection that we are injecting into this current module named as my module. And then we can create our functionality. This particular functionality is going to return with already created provider with this particular name, my value. So something is there actually, that is up to the business logic, what should be done with this provider, but simply it is retrieving some value and it is using these dependency packages or modules for properly functioning this my module. So in that way, we can create our modules in the AngularJS. And to give a better clarity, how to create a service, we can simply attach the service to the module, module.service, then provide the name of the service and the function. How to create a factory, module.factory, provide the factory name, then function. How to provide a provider, module.provider, provider name and the function. So we can see in general the methodology is same to create, either you are creating a service, factory, provider, or sometimes filter or directive, anything you are going to create, it is basically having some common functionality. And this is the first object which is giving access to all these objects like service, factories and providers. And if you see architectural the implementation for this AngularJS, first of all, the modules are there. Modules are looking up for the information in the config, and configs are connected to the routes, and routes can be implemented by communicating with the controllers and as well as with the views. And controllers can be depending on the factories, views can be depending on the directives, and that way everything is actually aligned. So that means the ultimate main object is nothing but your module. So if you start the AngularJS programming, everything is actually getting started with this module only. Through this module only, you are going to attach the this services, you are going to attach the directives, everything. Okay, so this is everything is given in a neat and clean way here. Then data binding. Data binding is a common feature in AngularJS, because AngularJS is generally used for displaying the data, which is automatically binded with your backend. Okay, so integrated data binding is the most popular feature of the AngularJS. Data binding is the synchronization between the view and the data model. This is the main synchronization part between the view and the data model. The data binding process ties together data from the model together with the view. Means model means whatever the data that is available from your database, and view means whatever the elements that you are having on the web page. So with AngularJS, data is bound in both directions. It is a two-way binding that is provided by the AngularJS. As data is entered through the web page, the backend data model is updated. It is getting updated automatically actually. And when data is modified in the backend, we can see automatically as it is a two-way data binding, it is getting updated automatically. So in this way, current data in the model is always accurately represented to the user without making any fresh requests to the actual database. So this is how it is very responsive, and it is very real-time updating the things on the UI. And there are two ways of doing the things for the data binding. If you are calling the things with this name, suppose you have given one property for this scope variable, $scope variable, attaching with this information name, format, you can call that expression, but this is a one way. And whenever you want to provide the two-way functionalities, then in those conditions you are depending on the models, ng model. Okay, so the ng model is actually tied up with the controller. So anything that is activated by the controller will be pushed or retrieved from the model, and as soon as the model is getting changed, the UI is automatically refreshing. So in that way, the two-way binding is we can achieve in the AngularJS by using this ng model. Otherwise, we can simply take the values that are correspondingly available in the either in the database or in your particular AngularJS properties. Okay, this is a one way. You cannot change the values in this name. Okay, for that you have to call this ng model. This becomes the two-way operational for the data binding. And finally, we will see the concepts and terminologies. Template is HTML with additional markup used to describe what should be displayed. This is called as a template. Directives, whenever you are going to create a reusable functionalities, okay, so then you can convert them into the directives. So this is the particular term that we come across. Then scope is nothing but where the actual data model is actually communicated through this object. Okay, through this object only we can communicate. So the $scope object is a global object which you can pass on from one controller to the second controller, or from one directive to another. So in that way we can pass on the information. Compiler process the template to generate the HTML for the browser. Data binding we have seen just now. So syncing the data between scope and the HTML. So this is the model. The scope is getting the values from the model and binding that to the HTML. Dependency injection, the functionalities that are required to process by a given directive. Okay, so the dependency or the given module, the dependency injections are there to help, like a library, helper library functionalities. These can be treated as helper libraries or helper modules. Then what is a module? It is nothing but simply a container. And in that module, what you want to attach, that is up to you. Then service, it is a way of packaging the functionality to make it available to any view. So if you want to provide the common functionalities across all the different web pages, then naturally you want to create that as a service. So when it is a service, it is available to all the available scope views on the given AngularJS applications. So in that way, so there are some particular terminologies that are available, and after going through all these and after demonstrating the features of all these, we will better understand the what are the functionalities that are offered by the AngularJS technology.